Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Very good. Welcome, everybody.
This is the... You go. Go on.
Yes, the first dev stream of 2025. And me, Jan,
Absolutely.
who's probably a new boy. I don't know if you've seen me here, but...
You've been here before.
Yes, on some of the other official streams, but not on the dev server, I don't believe.
Not for a while, at least. Yeah, not for a while. So yes, we're here today to show you some of the new stuff for Hornet's Sting, next major update. It won't have everything, but it'll have mostly everything. So there'll be some things to check on a bit later. We should have the majority of things ready to show you today as we go. So everything ready? All
Absolutely.
Good? Audio all okay?
I do believe so.
Good. Okay, so let's start.
Yeah. So,
man.
without talking about anything else, I think there's one plane that a lot of people are really curious about to see.
Indeed.
And that would be the F-18.
So, go for it.
Or in that case, the FA-18. Because this is a family of planes that can do not just one, but multiple things. One of which is, of course, air superiority, but also attacking ground units with close air support. And for the US, with the next patch, we get 3 entire ones. We get the FA-18A, the lower tier 12.7, as it currently is placed. I mean, none of the numbers that we currently have for like battle ratings and everything else are final ultimately, because after all, we are on the dev server. But at least for now, that is where it is placed. It has a quite high amount of ammunition for the 20mm, which is something that I personally really like to see. Because it is, well, ultimately one of the planes that, with the 20mm on the upper end, you have a quite good compartment up to 10 missiles that you can get in the ordnance over here. You can switch the AIM-9Ls out for a single AIM-7, and you can get up to 6 radar missiles, or you keep it as is, have 6 IRs, or if you do want to do that, you can bring quite a lot of ground ordnance in this, which...
So, yes, you are... Yes. I'll put you on the spot here. You currently have the highest number of air kills in the world for War Thunder and Realistic. So what is your perspective on this plane currently? How do you see it working?
So for ground ordnance, I think at least the 12.7 version isn't going to, bring home any new records for, kills in a single flyout. But that is something that you can do with the other one. With the air-to-air loadout at 12.7, that is quite powerful, especially because it is 10 missiles, not just 8 or 6 or another number. On an airframe that is quite maneuverable. I mean, if you kind of look at it, it has some semblance with like the, I'll just say it, the F5 with like, the very kind of short, pointy nose and sleek airframe, except for these like bulky parts here. And I think that this is going to be, well, it's not the fastest plane overall. It doesn't have to be, but it's going to be very maneuverable. And with that, you can probably do a lot. And it's probably with like a 12.7 placement, going to be quite fun to play. If you compare that though, with especially the armament, to the bigger friend, the FA-18C, you have an extremely potent amount of guided bombs and missiles.
Okay.
And an even higher count of air-to-air missiles. I will just show you that real quick. So you can bring 4 double racks of AIM-120 and 2 more that are placed on the air intakes over here. So you have 10 radar missiles.
It's an aggressive amount, yeah.
That is an extremely aggressive amount, but not the highest that we have to offer and show today. With you can switch, of course, around. You can have more IR missiles if you wish so, with AIM-9Ms over here. But you can also, if you enjoy bombing, and I know a lot of people do, bring a extremely high compartment of guided bombs, including not just the standard paveways that a lot of people have been using, or the bigger friend, the almost 1 ton paveway, but you can also bring JDAMs.
Very nice.
Or you bring AGM 65s, which is
there's quite a lot of options, a nice variety.
A lot of options, and I've checked it. This is not necessarily something that you need in like a Grand RB match, but you will be also able to launch missiles at people. You don't need to limit yourself with the amount of ground ordnance to not be able to shoot down a plane or launch a radar missile, because these pylons that you have here, I will actually go back into it and edit it. These pylons can only employ air-to-air missiles,
right.
So you don't need to compromise on it. You can bring 8, guided bombs, or 4 guided missiles, depending on what you want for air-to-ground attack. You can bring 2 additional dumb bombs, so to say, or the targeting pod, or anything of your liking over here, and you still have sidewinders.
Absolutely.
So that is an extreme amount of attack ordnance, and the plane with 4.5 tons overboard here is still able to take off. I think the max takeoff weight for that is like over 7 tons. So
okay. And the premium, what's the difference with that one? So this premium right now is 13.0. Yeah. It's meant to be 12.7. It's a bug at the moment showing 13.0. So it'll be 12.7 when it comes out.
Mm-hmm. You have a similar amount of ordnance here. I can go a little bit through that as well. Similar to the ordnance that you get on the Tech Tree 12.7 plane that we have as well, which comes with 10 up to 10 air-to-air missiles as well.
Nice.
The difference being, of course, over here that the FA-18C version, I believe, has slightly different engines than the A version, so a little bit more power, if I recall correctly. One feature that I really like about this plane, by the way, is the kind of like slanted tail that you have.
I quite like it, yeah.
Yeah, it looks extremely good, even like, from the front or the back or sideways. It just has this like touch.
It does, like, I don't really, I'm not that interested strictly in very many modern jets, but this one I like. There's something about the slanted tail that I do enjoy. So yeah, I can agree. Correct opinion. Absolutely. Yeah, nice one. So do you think in general, like, how is it going to fit? How is it going to stack up with what we've got currently?
I think these planes are going to be extremely powerful on ARB and ground RB.
Okay.
Both for close air support or flying around, shooting other planes in ARB, and for some people, because they were asking, they are in the F4J line over here.
Indeed,
coming between the F14 and the F4J.
Absolutely. So, what have we got next?
I think there's some vehicle that you have on your end.
I do.
So let's
press the button.
Switch over to you.
Yes. Hopefully it looks okay. Yeah, we're on the development server at the moment, so a lot of the settings are a bit scruffy. So if there's like a bit of an FPS problem with how it looks, hopefully it's not too bad. I think on my end it should be a bit better because that PC is the one doing the heavy lifting. But yes, I can show you the XM246, which is a new anti-air at 8.3. It fits quite nicely in the gap in between the M163 and the Sergeant York. It's pretty nice. So it's basically like a chunkier Gepard, effectively. Not really too many functional changes. That's basically what it's going to be. The guns are a little closer together, which is going to make it a little bit easier, I think, if something's quite close to you. Because before, I remember especially on the Chieftain Marksman back in the day, the guns are far enough apart to where if you fired at like a King Tiger in front of you, you'd hit the tracks. So it's a little difficult at some points with how far away the guns are. But these are pretty nice, and traverse speed is quite mental as well. I can also briefly show you here, there are new effects, new impact effects on surfaces. There's like more directional sparks and that sort of thing. And yeah, so every update, there's like a few extra little things when it comes to the graphics. And this time we have some more impact effects on all surfaces, I think, for most different guns and calibers. So it should be a little bit different.
Yes.
But yeah, it's pretty nice. It's really nice this is here. It's been needed for quite a while. Yes, this is quite... it's a very good canvas, I must say, for...
everything is bulbous on this vehicle.
Absolutely.
They're like the kind of frontal-facing radar. They're like top radar dome.
Indeed.
The vehicle itself.
It's bulby.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I've got a few more little things to show you here for the US. The ADATS has a new model. You probably won't be able to notice too many differences. It's a little bit different. There's a new 50 cal. This is a fast-firing 50 cal. It's pretty nice, but you know, it's like an auxiliary gun. You already have your secondary, so it's not like the biggest thing ever, but the model is now as it should be. There were some issues before, but that's all fixed. The only other thing I have to show you here is a new menu. Oh, you might have seen this in the CM covert disclosure posts. There's a new menu here for these shell stat cards. So all of the key information that you'll need, like at a first glance, is right there at the front underneath the shell animation here. And there's a few more bits of information, some more useful bits as well. So if we look at the heat here, this is not new, basically, but it's shown in a different way. If we look below the angle of attack here, there's the high explosive fragmentation section. And if we're looking at a heat shell here, this will basically tell you, this section, how much high explosive effect it has. So in this game, basically, a heat shell will have like an auxiliary HE effect. And that's now shown. So even though this is a heat shell with 130 millimeters of penetration, it also has a 20 millimeter or so HE effect. And I'll just because I think this is quite useful to know, I'll show you how this functions. Again, this is not new. It's just, I think, quite useful to show you. So the top armor of the Sherman is about 20, like 19 and a half millimeters thick. So if we shoot the shell here, it will overpressure because the HE effect is triggering. But if we shoot the front plate, which I think is like 63.5, it won't trigger and it will just have the standard heat effect. So these shells have two different ways of damaging things. This is not new. This is an old thing that's been in the game for quite a while now. But now you can see that more, it's more readily available, the information. So it's a bit clearer, which is pretty nice. So yeah, the new stat cards for shells, there's quite a few other UI upgrades as well. I think we've got a few more of those with the profile icons. Have got a bit more depth as well.
Speaking of stat cards.
Yes, you want to have a look at those?
Yes, absolutely. So, as you know, we've had some changes that have been made to the overall stat card. Now, over the last kind of updates, a lot has changed here. So we went from, having just your favorite vehicle or the, information on how much you've been playing in specific modes. And there's a couple new ones that are coming with the next patch. For example, you can add yourself the achievements that you can earn in the game over here. Say, I won't go through all of this right now. You have an information on how many of the achievements you've earned so far. Remind, this is my account that I'm using for showcasing here. So this is a different number than I have on my private one.
Yes.
And you can pick and choose which ones up to 10 you can display here. So you can go through and decide that you want to, show people that you have indeed more than 2,000 vehicles in the hangar, or that you have a specific battle reward that you've received, or, I believe there's one achievement that is like get a bomb kill over 20 kilometers, which is quite the achievement. And I feel like people that want to showcase that would put it here. You get the kind of idea. The same functionality exists for the medals that we have in the game. You can pick and choose which ones of these you want to show. Again, on my private account, it looks a little bit different. So you might see like the numbers not being fulfilled over here. You can pick and choose which ones you want to show. It also includes the total number and how many of those you already have. You can pick up to 10, include it here, apply, and the other people that click on your account do not only see which ones you like most, which ones you think is best, but also the total amount. Then the next one, this is
the best.
Basically the thing that people have been asking to see. and that is you can show what vehicles you are most proud of, and it includes the total amount of vehicles that you have, but also includes the total amount per nation. So you have a more detailed view here, and you can pick whatever the
anything you like.
vehicle of choice you want to have in the top 3 kind of most loved vehicles on your end. It's kind of the classic ability to flex that you do indeed own. Say, what is a good vehicle? What would you say?
Don't know, E100.
Okay. So
there are a lot of 100s, you see.
Maybe put an E there. Yeah. So I can show that here, and I can pick other rare vehicles, apply, and now I have the full overview. But that is not the only portion here, because you can also pick and choose this, the full Ace of Spades, which you can pick everything, or you can pick per nation and per subcategory in that nation. So say this has 2 functionalities in my mind, because on one, you can show everybody that you have, in this case, almost 1,000 vehicles spaded of the total amount of vehicles that you have. But you can also uncheck it and then see per kind of subcategory where you are with that, how many vehicles you have. It's, if you like watching these kind of things and, clicking through, applying, and seeing this kind of info, and you like knowing, how many vehicles, if say you are Tom, who loves spading vehicles.
I do.
And who does that quite a lot, you can just kind of check, and you don't have to go into, your tech tree, and you don't have to count how many vehicles have the kind of spade mark.
Yeah, it's a nice way to show your little achievements, and it's good. It's in the profile window now, so you can all mix and match, do what you like.
Exactly.
Yeah, some nice changes. So, shall we move on? I think probably, stick on my view for a while, because this PC is not enjoying streaming and showing the game at the same time. So I'll show you some more stuff. We've got the Clovis. This is a new premium for Germany and France. They're both exactly the same. The German version is a store vehicle. The French one is for GE. So this is the Marder hull with a new turret, basically. It's got the French 105mm gun and a Coax 20, excuse me. Same as the AMX 30, I think. It should be. Yeah, so it's the standard shell, standard gun on the hull of the Marder. And it's oscillating turret. It's auto-loaded. It's not stabilized, but it's relatively stable on the move, because it's oscillating, and the turret's quite small relative to the hull. So if you are moving, it's not too bad. Like, obviously you don't have a stabilizer, so it's not very stable relative to that. But for what it is, if you are at a high speed on flat ground like that, see,
that is quite stable.
It's not too bad. So if you are, you're not going over hills too much. Like, I'm not touching the mouse. It's okay for what it is.
I've seen worse bouncy castles.
For sure, yeah.
That's for sure, yeah.
So the 20 is very good. You can destroy light vehicles quite comfortably, low-flying aircraft, although keep in mind the elevation is not that great, so you can't point up too high. But against things that are very low-flying, light vehicles, you can go for tracks and that sort of thing very comfortably. It's pretty solid for that. So it's a nice kind of analog to the terms, and the 8.0 lineup. It's pretty extensive. It's a nice scout vehicle. Scout vehicles are always really good for this sort of thing anyway. It's like a premium because they're quite versatile. They work in lots of different situations. So yeah, this is arriving for Germany and France. I have a few more things to show you here as well. In the tech tree, this was originally just going to be for France. This is a captured AMD 35 that Germany captured from France, put a long 50 in it, and then after that, France captured it back and then used it against Germany. But also because Germany obviously used it, it's going to be here as well. For the main reason that previously, apart from the Panzer II-C, it's got a new name now that I can't remember, but previously, aside from the Puma at 3.7, there was no light tank below that had scouting for Germany, and now this one now has. As there's quite a few popular vehicles, some strong lineups below 3.7, so this is a nice scout vehicle for that. You do actually have a functional light tank here now, which is pretty nice. Another small thing I can move on to. Well, that's a bit of a weird way of putting it. The Dornier M and K get the Satan, which is the 1,800 kilogram bomb. You can mount that in the central bay now. And also, the D Stukers get it as well. So enjoy that.
That's an obnoxiously big bomb.
It is indeed comically large. So yes, only the D3 and D5 currently have this, and they can equip it. So yeah, that's going to be quite, well, depending on what end of the spectrum you're on. I also have something else to show you regarding sound. Don't panic, it's actually quite cool. So basically, a lot of the tank gun sounds have been remastered. And this is subject to change, obviously, depending on feedback, if people like it, if people don't. We'll see what we can change. But basically, the original tank gun sounds had a bit more personality to them. They were a bit more specific. And so if you remember, I don't know if you've been playing for like a very long time, if anyone's watching here who's been here for a while, the gun sounds are basically remastered from how they originally were. So...
Oh, that is an old sound.
It's an old sound, but it's remastered in the current engine. So the sounds are in the current audio engine, but they are like how they were initially, in that they have the like more personality, so that you could differentiate the guns a bit better, because at a certain point they were kind of homogenized and they sounded very similar. So they were kind of realistic in that way. But yeah, they weren't very unique. And you might also remember this German 75 sound. Which
so cool to hear the 128 have the clonk back.
It has that sound to it. It's very good. As a classic, has that like metal kind of twist.
Yeah, it has that clink at the end.
It does.
When the shell
absolutely
gets out.
Yes.
It's kind of like a memory trick.
It is, almost. Yeah. It gives me like I said this. I was talking to one of the sound guys yesterday. I was like, oh, it's the Jagdtigers 128 sound from like 10 years ago again. I was very excited about that. So yeah, got new old sounds. So hopefully that should help differentiate them a little bit better. And yeah, I think that's all we've got to show for Germany for the time being. We can move on to Russia. And I will show you this. This is the 2S19. There's two versions. There's the M1 and the M2. They're quite similar. Currently, they have placeholder stats in regards to their penetration. So I won't show you that yet. It's using the 2S3 stats, I think. So we'll have a look at that later. Probably when the dev server comes out, they'll be a bit more as they should be. So the difference here, at least currently, is the M1 and the M2. The M2 has a slightly more powerful engine and a slightly faster reload. So 10 shots per minute. The regular version is a little bit slower. I think there might be a few more changes to them. I'm not 100% sure. But currently, that's the difference there. But yeah, armor-wise, I thought the hull was going to be very thickly armored. It sort of isn't, not very much. So yeah, it's going to be quite weak. It's huge, by the way. This is a really giant vehicle.
With an extremely long gun.
Yes, absolutely. So it's going to be quite not very conspicuous in any regard. So yeah, but it's a nice addition, especially for that BR. Something fundamentally up-tier proof, which is very, very nice to see. And yeah, look, quite happy this is coming. So now pretty much every nation's got one of the big artillery pieces. So pretty nice to see. And yeah, also, what's that? What do you reckon that is there? What do you think that is?
Could it be another plane that a lot of people are looking forward to?
It could be. Do you want to keep it on my screen? We can talk about it
here. I'll go into a test drive in a second, because there's a specific maneuver that some people would like to see probably. We have the Su-30SM as a new addition, which comes with at 14.0 top tier, even to that battle rating, aggressively high amount of missiles.
Absolutely does.
We have 14 possible missiles on the hardpoints. 2 of the under wing hardpoints being double racks. And if you go through it, an extremely high amount of options for ground ordnance, hardpoints for all sorts of guided and unguided bombs, including a lot of stuff that we have on, of course, other plans, naturally. But on the air-to-air aspect here, if you hover over the missiles, R-77s for Russia. And not just 1 or 2, but
quite a large amount.
12 of them. Said. Yes. So if you've ever felt like launching a ton of missiles, it literally every single person in the match. Well, you can almost do that now. You don't even need to reload at that point.
Indeed.
Well, if they were to actually all hit. And there is something that I feel like showcasing here.
If your PC is not happy with it, I can also try it as well.
Yeah, let's find out. Of course.
We'll see. It doesn't like the hanger. The hanger at the moment is drawing a bit too many resources. The test drive should be better.
So
yeah, you're fine.
There's a button. You might see it already.
Yes.
I have bound it to be. And what I can do with that is essentially this.
Spin. It is Ace Combat time. Yes, it's quite exciting. So every aircraft that could have an AOA limiter, Nat will get it. So I think F-16s and a lot of other vehicles. And you can do some
extremely insane maneuvers now.
Some very extreme maneuvers at the risk of splatting into the floor because you will just stall completely.
I know that, of course, everything being subject to change. But if that is going to be, you know, possible in the normal random battle, you will see a lot of people doing that maneuver.
Yeah, there'll be a few like Reddit moments, but probably a lot more splatting into the floor from from stalling immediately. So yes, we'll see. But it's quite cool. It's been quite fun to play around with. Early days, of course, it might change a little bit when it comes out properly. But yes, it's very fun to to play around with right now.
Yeah. So if you ever overshoot somebody and you quickly do not want to overshoot them anymore, you can
simply do this.
An insanely high G maneuver, get on their tail, switch back to the regular mode.
You can do it.
And then shoot.
He can.
There we go.
It's 20,000 hours of practice all for that moment. You did it. Well done.
Yeah, no, it would be easier if I just went and got some missiles here, because I want to briefly show that as well. There being a little bit of trouble, so to say, if you want to do that initial maneuver with all of the missile compartments, because they weigh quite a lot.
They do.
And it is harder to do any high G maneuvers with that. So if you truly want to do that maneuver, the full-on Cobra backflip, then might not be a good idea to bring a full 14 missiles on your plane. But of course, now I have every single R-77 here available. So now they do travel in hertz.
That's a little mean. Yes. Goodness gracious me.
That is a lot of firepower.
Yes, absolutely.
On a very nimble airframe with, you know, even if we didn't have the maneuver mode button that unlimits the AOA I can pull with the instructor, I could, you know, probably sustain outturn a lot of planes. Su-27s and the, you know, beefed up version here, the Su-30 SM, being able to pull quite long sustained turns, IRL and War Thunder, of course. But now with this addition over here as a button, let me get a little bit slower.
The Cobra button, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you're going too fast, of course, it's not going to work. But if you go with low, like 800-900 kilometers an hour, you can pull that.
Pilot is now paced.
Yeah. But you know, at least I'm behind and not in front. So very, very neat. Of course, doesn't just work on this plane.
Yes.
Not an exclusive on this. So
how's the radar as well? Some questions about the radar we've seen.
So we have not just I got the kill on that. We don't just have the pulse Doppler mode. We have TWS. I can range it quite high. It looks like it's just below 100 kilometers of effective range, which with the R77s. I mean, I wouldn't launch them at 100 kilometers because they're just gonna, get slow and not hit anything, especially if you turn around. But for the ranges that you have, that are really effective in the game, quite good and powerful radar. You can see it's really trying to follow that mark that I've made over there.
Yes.
I think, especially with 14 missiles, extremely powerful addition.
Okay.
I mean, everybody that has been playing top tier ARB knows how powerful, having more missiles is. So now getting a plane that doesn't just have 8 or 10, but 14, right? And even the Eurofighters don't have 14, right? And the ability to run 12, active homing radar missiles. So a lot of opportunities over here with this plan. Let me do one last.
I don't think these skins are ready yet, chat member, but they should be in a bit of time. Not sure exactly when, but there will be more skins, of course, but I don't think we can look at them right now. It's just comical.
And I'm going 200.
Yes. But yeah, like in the current, I guess, like current tier list of aircraft, where do you see this one sitting right now? What do you reckon?
Say again, I was
you were
too
too
focused
engrossed,
on the
yes.
this is if it was for me, like I would do this the entire time. Look at the AOA, like I'm going backwards. It's insane. Woo!
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, so,
I think I'm crashing now, but
I believe you are.
it's
Yes.
extremely fun to
Good.
to play around with.
Good. Yeah. So I mean, generally, so where do you see this one sitting in the current, I guess, sort of hierarchy of top vehicles?
The R77s are probably, like, they are not as long range as like an M120, especially the later versions of the M120. So the missiles are not going to be as oppressively powerful as, say, if I had 12 M120Cs that I could launch at everything. But I think with the maneuverability and what the plane can do, it's going to sit quite high in the kind of overall meta of like high ranked planes that we have in the game, like including the Rafale and the Eurofighter. Ultimately, it remains to see when the plane gets introduced and how well it does. I feel a lot of people will do the high G super maneuvers.
Yeah.
And with that, you will see a lot of people that, underperform a little bit.
I can imagine, yeah.
But ultimately, quite a powerful plan.
Yeah, good to hear.
And very curious to see how it will do in the game.
Absolutely. We've got quite a few more things to have a look at, so I can show you as a weird fella.
Please go.
Little monkey fella, weird fella. I love stuff like this. I love sort of weird Lotus stuff because usually that part of the game doesn't change very much. So when there is a new thing, it's actually quite cool. So this is Harry. It's really weird having a tank that just has like the name of a person. It's like calling your dog John. It's like the same energy. I don't know how I feel about it. But yeah, I like this. It's 2.3, which makes him a bit high. It's quite strong against autocannons at least. So the armor at the front may not look like very much, but if you're fighting at like relative range against some of the weaker guns, it's actually okay. It's quite small, it's quite stealthy, it's still relatively quick, so as a light scout vehicle, it's going to work pretty well. And yeah, it's a very weird fella. It is the weird fella of light tanks, I think. I certainly enjoy that. So yeah, so rank 2, and so scouting ability, pretty nice. Another unique, strange addition to the lower tiers for Britain, so very nice to see that. I'll quickly show you the Rapier, which is a new anti-air vehicle, one of the most unique and cool anti-air vehicles. This is the tracked Rapier with some new missiles. They look quite aggressive in the back there. Yeah. On a very peculiar hull as well. It's like the combination between a not very, like a silly hull and an aggressive missile. So pretty nice. They work very well currently. We've got 2 types. We have the Mark II and the 1E. The Mark II is like slightly faster, 50 meters a second faster, and an extra kilometer of range. So they're proxy, they're pretty powerful, entry-level thermals as well. So it's nice. It's a nice one. It's going to work well in the earlier lineup around 10.0, 10.3. Very nice to finally see this. And Britain now has a stacked amount of AAs at this rank, so quite cool. It's going to be a nice one for the game. Anyway, we've also got Warspite, of course. Now, you love ships, so what can you tell me about this?
Absolutely. So the one piece of information that I have about this humongous mobile over here, the Warspite, was that, if I recall correctly, it was part of Task Force Z on the Pacific Theater in World War II. But I cannot say too much about what to expect of the ship. As
It's going to be nice. It's a cool ship. It's also got the B-type rounds now, which are here. And I think Hood, Renown, and Arkangelsk as well will get it as well. These are slightly more powerful shells, are a bit better at range and angles and that sort of thing. So they should get it too. Obviously, there's a huge amount to look at for ships, so we won't spend a huge amount of time on it. You can see like the general gist of the armor layout and all the bits and bobs internally. And yeah, it's going to be nice. Finally, it's like the bong time. It's bong time. Finally getting some nice ships. So very happy to see that.
Yeah, that is extremely big for what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. Nice to finally see. We can also move on to Japan.
Was it flagged as a battle cruiser or a battleship?
Yes, so there's a few things to look up for Japan. They're basically all naval related. So there's quite a few changes to naval in this update. So I've not shown you them yet, but the reserve coastal vessels are going to change. Previously, they were a little bit hard to use. Some of them weren't that offensively capable. Now, some are being replaced. Some new versions being added that are a bit more powerful. So this is now the new reserve. It's basically the original reserve with a 25 on the top instead of a 13.2. So they're a bit more powerful. There's a lot of changes, so I won't go through everything, but there's quite a few. There's also Matsu here, which is one of the weirder Japanese destroyers. It's got some nice torpedoes, not very many. It's got a peculiar gun array, so that's quite nice. Yeah, I'll show you two of the key changes that we've got. So in arcade, the aiming has completely changed. So it's much, much easier to go through and aim and shoot stuff now. Because previously, like I would say, it was a bit idiosyncratic, especially when it comes to if you've never played a naval game before. You need to lead, and that could be a bit tricky if you're just starting. So now, your guns will basically land exactly where you want. So if I want to shoot like the very tail end here, I don't need to accommodate for the lead. I can just hold my point right here, and the shells will land roughly right on that point. I don't need to lead. I don't need to do any of the other stuff. This is just for arcade. Realistic is the same. And it will do all of that for you. So it's much easier to jump in and try it. I think the just for AB currently, yeah, not for realistic. So it makes the aiming much more user-friendly, especially if you are new to naval games. So yeah, there's a lot of changes. So this is one of many, basically, and there's quite a few nice things to have a look at too. I'll show you one more. Something that was quite difficult situationally was bow tanking, which basically, if you had a ship that was pointed directly towards you, you could pummel the front of that ship and it wouldn't destroy it because the front of the ship, that one compartment, was soaking up all the damage. Now, on small and medium ships, not big ships, so anything I believe below destroyers, they have basically an overwhelming damage mechanic. So,
oh, that's good, yeah.
On this ship here, if we point directly at the front and just put the shells into the front and only shoot the front, after a certain amount of time, it will take the minimum or the maximum amount of damage it can sustain, and that simulates the top or the front part of the ship being sheared off, basically. So if any section takes too much damage, the ship will just be destroyed. So, and that saves like bow tanking, and if you've only got like a little bit of the ship available to look at, it will be destroyed. There's also changes to unsinkability. If you look at the top here, it has this kind of a brick breaker looking section at the bottom right. If you black out two sections, it will start the unsinkability. There's a lot of details of this. It'll take a bit too much time to explain here, but try it out. Look at the changelog. It will show you all the details. So there's quite a few changes there to naval, which is really, really nice. And yes, that's all we've got for Japan. I think we've got something for China for you to look at.
Yes. But I think one thing that I've seen a little bit in the chat is a helicopter.
Well, we can go back to that if we've got time. If we have time, we can go and have a look.
Let's see and go around for it, yeah. So in the meantime, there's not just top-tier planes being introduced for the US and Russia, but we also have a new top-of-the-line fighter for China available, the B version of the J11. Now, we already have the J11A available. Now we get the B version that, compared to the A version, which is the ability to bring R73s and RVV, or a lot of Russian-made R27s, comes with the domestic versions with up to 10 missiles.
Nice.
You can bring up to 6 PL-12 radar missiles, and you can bring PL-8s. You can switch it up a little bit, I believe, and bring a compartment of 6 IR and 4 radar, or 6 radar and 4 IR missiles.
Cool.
Over here, with limited amounts of air-to-ground capability. So this is less a multi-role than what you have in, say, the Su-30SM and in the FA-18, which are in the name already, FA, fighter attacker, being multi-role capable. This plane is a pure air dominance fighter. You see it with this is the
not very many CAS options.
Yeah, I mean, you will still be able to do something because you have some missiles that you can bring, but it's very limited if you compare it, right?
Okay.
And of course, with this plan, you can, if I go into a test drive and just quickly go through it, have a okay amount of flare chaff as well. You can, of course, also do quite a lot of high G maneuvers. Obviously, this being kind of the Chinese counterpart to Su-27 of sorts, right? So not to the same level, so I will not do it right close to the floor, especially because I also have the full missile compartment up right now. But of course, you can do the same level of high G maneuvers and rapidly go a different direction. So I think great addition for ARB.
Yeah, fantastic. So how are the missiles compared to the other version?
It depends a little bit on how you overall fly a little bit, because the I cannot stop doing that.
It's too addicting. I know what you mean.
It's too addictive.
I was playing around with it too
right
much
there,
earlier,
and I cannot not do this. Ah, now I've lost control. Okay, second. Yeah.
Very nice.
You rapidly go the other way. I believe the missiles that you have on the Su-30SM, the R77s, are probably going to be a little bit more powerful in it. PL-12.
Okay.
Don't quote me entirely on it, though, but I mean, 10 missiles in top tier, still extremely potent. You have HMD, you have on the AI missiles quite a high range overall, especially if you compare it to lower tier missiles like the AIM-9J, the R6CM, but it's sort of like a standard at this point in like a top tier. So yeah, overall I need to just do one last full pull over here.
It's too addictive.
It's too addictive.
It is too addictive.
It's an absolutely
yes,
great maneuver that you can pull. So also another great addition to like the top tier battles in ARB, and definitely a plane to look forward to getting if you enjoy air combat.
Fantastic. Right, so a nice look. I can now show you some Italy stuff. There's a few little things to have a look at.
Go for it.
We've got a new early destroyer. Post-war version, it's got some nice anti-air. Won't take too much of a look at it. You can look at it in your own time on the dev server when that comes out a little bit later. We have the new premium Ariete, which is much like the Fuji and a lot of other high-tier premiums. They are effectively the same as the tech tree version, so nothing's really lost. They are like analogs to versions we already have, so they're completely optional. So if you don't want to pick it up, you're not losing out on anything. It's basically the standard version, like a little bit different. This one's like has weird exhaust, but not too much else. It's got the camo net. Aside from that, it's the regular Arietti that you can now get as a premium if you like. Completely optional, of course. Yeah, nice to line up. Got a huge amount of 11.7s relatively to use, and it's going to be a nice addition for that if you want to blitz through the tree. That's good. Right, this is going to be mean, and I'm happy to see this. The Sagittario 2, the Arietti, and the P16 now have APHE, a tracerless APHE high velocity belt. And with this thing's aggressively forgiving flight performance, if you're playing this in ground, this is going to just eat the roof of anything. So it's going to be... I'm quite looking forward to that.
Up to, what was that, 39 millimeters?
Yeah, so it's not the HVAP from before. It's a new round, so it's not the most forgiving. The pen is not quite as good. The initial like HVAP was like 90 or something, so this is a little bit less. But yeah, it's going to be fairly mean if you can get a good angle. And yeah, these are going to be ridiculous cast planes, I think, relatively. So yeah, it's going to be nice to see. Happy to see that. I can move on to France. France has quite a lot. Won't take too long. This is the version of the AMD we looked at for Germany. Same with France, exactly the same, just in French colors, of course. As well, we have the DF105 for France now too. This again was present in the German tree for quite a few years. Now it's here for France too, making the 8.0 lineup even more stacked as it already was. So more options, can't complain there. And the Clovis as well, which is again the same version that's found in the German tree. This is a GE vehicle, whereas the German one is a pack vehicle. So you can get this with GE. And it's the same overall, you just have the little decal, and apart from that, it's the same thing. So a few more little ships we can take a look at. These two are new. The first three reserve boats were not the most forgiving. They only had a dual 7.7s. They weren't that great as your first sort of foray into naval. So these versions are a little bit better. These have the twin Hotchkiss machine guns. They're a bit more forgiving. This is the same, but with a 37 on the front as well. So these are the new reserves. You also have a Flower class. It has two 57s on the back, which is quite cool. Flower class is cracked. It's one of the nicest coastal vessels at lower BRs. And you also have Marne, which is, I think it's Marne, is a new coastal ship. It's quite interesting. It's got 4 100mm guns. It's quite a low BR for what it is. I think it's only got a blue water spawn. Maybe it'll get coastal spawn, I'm not sure. It's a nice one. It's one of the more obscure vessels. And I like to see these things that are kind of like just regular looking ships with guns on. I don't know why, but I really like that. It's a weird looking ship, and I like weird ships. So yeah, quite a few new things for France. Pretty nice. And yeah, hopefully enjoy having a look at those on the dev server soon. We have a few more things to look at for Sweden and Israel, some jet related things. Your domain.
Yes,
I would say.
And I shall show you one, which we've already looked at it on the American side, but we also have a F-18 added to the
Finland, yeah. So what is there's quite a distinct difference on this one to the other ones.
So first of all, it's in the Finnish subtree on the Swedish tree. And second of all, it shows already in the name, it's just called the F-18.
So no attacker then?
Exactly. This one comes with absolutely no ability to bring ground ordnance, except for if you want to crash into something, which I guess would kind of qualify as, like I
suppose. So a pure fighter in that way then.
This one is just a pure fighter. You can bring high ordnance of 12 air-to-air missiles. You have your 10 M120s. Let me just quickly go into a test flight of this. You have the high maneuverability of the plane. Good acceleration, and you also have the button. Somebody in chat asked if that Cobra maneuver thing is like a keybind. Yes.
Yes, it is.
It's
a toggle.
Maneuver mode thingy that you can set, which you can press, and then your AOA limiter goes off, and suddenly you can pull way higher into your turn. compared to what you could normally do.
Yes.
And also disable it again.
But
and then
it's not
hope
quite
that
as
you don't crash, which I'm going to do now because it's quite difficult to do in the plane.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's
it's not quite as over the top as the SU-30s.
Exactly.
Anyway. Okay. Right.
It's still a very high maneuverable plane. I mean, if you look, we're going 370, and I can really pull my nose into like every maneuver. This is something that a lot of planes in like this battle rating might struggle a little bit with if you're going relatively slow. So you can see you're looking.
That's a good point as well. You are like incredibly heavy with all those extra missiles.
That's
So I
also
imagine
true,
without
yeah.
that, it's going to be a bit more agile too with that.
Yes, as said, only air-to-air capabilities for this one. The American ones get a lot of ground ordnance options, a lot of guided bombs and missiles, paveways. This one only gets M120s and M9s, and of course 940 rounds for the main cannon, which is in a peculiar position, I would say. If you've played a lot of Phantoms, you have it either as a add-on gun pod below, or it kind of as the like undernose. On F-16s, it's kind of like off-center. On this plane, it sits right above your nose over the radar dome.
I don't like it. Something weird about it.
Yeah. I'm used to it a little bit with like the F1 and like other planes that I've been playing a lot, but it is an interesting position. I think not inherently bad. And with a lot of ammunition overall on like all the Hornets. So
Great.
Very nice.
Excellent. Yeah, we've got one more vehicle, I believe, to look at for Israel.
Yes. Let's switch right to that.
Have a squiz.
Which is the premium nets.
The nets. Slightly different.
Yeah.
A little bit. Not in a huge way, but slightly different.
No, there's one immediate difference that knowers of the nets, well, probably not pick up.
Knowers of the nets.
If you compare it to the normal nets, pay attention to the tail fin section. It's slightly longer.
Yes. It's not a huge mod, so it shouldn't affect flight performance, I believe, but yeah, it's a slightly different version. A little bit different.
Yes. It comes with the semi-regular compartment of a Python 3 M9L or M9Ps, depending what you want to bring. I mean, the Python 3s are probably the best. Comes with ground ordnance options. Doesn't have any radar missiles on the plane that you can bring, but that's kind of the same that you have on the regular nets if you compare it.
This version, I believe, also gets additional countermeasures.
It does.
Compared to the regular one.
The regular nets, if you hover over it, has just 60, and the premium version comes with 180. So I played a fair bit of the nets myself in previous patches, and one thing that I always struggled with was running out of countermeasures at some point. And this version, with 180, triple the amount is probably be off way better by comparison. But yeah, quite similar. Not
it's a slightly more forgiving variant.
Exactly. Not running,
Won't like offensively let you do anything you couldn't do already, but it's a bit more forgiving in that regard defensively. So,
which
it's quite it's a nice way to do it, I think.
Good addition with the flares. All right, you want to show something?
We are basically finished with the new vehicles. If you want to look at some questions, I can show you the new jungle. So 3 maps have been remade: Advanced the Rhine, Jungle, and Sinai. And they've all been visually updated. There's some minor changes, I think, on Sinai. And some on Rhine. There's a few little things that have changed, not a huge amount. But as you can see here, all the flora has changed, all the effects. It looks a lot nicer, a lot more tropical. It's it reminds me more of Enlisted, I think, in the way the colors look. But yeah, we'll have a brief run around if you want to have a look at some chat member messages while we have a bit of an explore here at the end. And we can hopefully answer a few things before our colleagues start in about 5 or so minutes. We'll have a look around. Yeah, all the textures are updated. A lot more new bits and bobs. And yeah, it's a lot nicer. So a lot of these maps were quite vintage, relatively speaking. So yeah, they're looking a lot nicer now. A lot more details.
SU30 is going to sit in the SU27 line.
Yep. After the SU27 SM.
Yeah.
This is Jungle. This is a redo of it. Like, no gameplay, basically the same. Might be a few little changes, like with rocks and things. I'm not too sure. I've not had time to explore all of it, but generally they're graphical upgrades. So they are just kind of remastered to look a bit nicer, like Abandoned Factory last update. So yeah, not a huge amount of difference in terms of gameplay. They just look a bit nicer. The textures are upgraded and that sort of thing. So I can't really, well, I can show you, but it has the placeholder stats from the 2S3 right now. It's not quite updated and ready. So hopefully for the dev server, maybe a little bit later, you'll be able to see the proper stats for these guns. So right now, I believe it is a placeholder. We'll see. There should be a few more vehicles coming that aren't quite ready yet. So hopefully over the next few days or like a week or so, you'll see those in the dev server as well. Mostly everything's here, not everything.
I saw it earlier as well. I just want to briefly mention it. You will be able to bring Grom 2 guided bombs in the SU30 SM.
Very nice, yeah. Dev server should be open relatively soon. It can be a little bit temperamental with the exact time, but generally after the streams, you can expect it around that time. Not 100% yet, but it should be relatively soon. F18 top speed. It depends roughly based on the different variants. You can probably have a look while I'm zooming. Got a few more minutes for anything else to have a look
at. What planes get the limiter removal keybind? That's a good question.
Everything that could have it in reality, I believe, should get it. It's the F-16s and that sort of thing.
Yeah, especially the J11B, some of the new planes, the F-18s. The SU30SM, of course, being the plane that so far has also been the most fun to do it. So I've never been able to do a backflip in a plane, not even the Harriers, because in the Harriers it wouldn't catch it afterwards again.
Do you want to have one more look at the F-18s for America? Because that was the first thing, and maybe some new people here haven't seen them yet.
Yes, I think we can briefly jump into that. Yep. Also has a fantastic looking flash. Let me jump into test flight.
Okay. So Jan will show you the American F-18 one more time, for those of you who joined a bit late.
Brought the ground ordnance set up over here now.
So we haven't shown you everything. There are a few extra things that our co-workers will show you on their stream, which will start in a few minutes.
I mean, this plane's takeoff and the climb speed, the amount of maneuvers that I can do, and how light it feels for it carrying almost 5 tons of bombs is really, really powerful. That is quite insane how well this, manages to accelerate right now.
Yeah, so in terms of the new aircraft, in your experience, as again, I will say it, the person who has the highest amount of air kills in the world in realistic, which one of these is your favorite? What do you think, or what do you see being the best?
I would say that from the plans that we have, I would probably play the SU30 a lot.
Okay.
Purely out of the fact that the maneuver AOA limiter is extremely fun to play around with.
Yes,
and I am gimmicky like that. When the Harriers came out for the first time, and you could thrust vector the position. The only thing that I was doing with that plane was taking off vertically, like a Saturn V. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, nice. Absolutely. All right then. Well, we are just about to hit our time. And we've shown you mostly everything. Our colleagues will show you some things we haven't shown, so make sure to check them out and have a look. There's probably going to be some other streams having a look if you want to see the translations, what they're having a chat about. And they should show some things we haven't, so make sure to give them a look too. That's mostly everything, and that's just about all we've got time for today. So
absolutely.
Thank you very much. It's been a little bit crusty with the FPS in the hangar. The PC is doing overtime and trying very hard to to show everything. So
we can hear the fan going into
we
absolute
can. It's quite
overdrive.
aggressive. We might melt down soon. But yes, I guess that's about it then.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to give the dev server a squiz after the stream. It might come in a few hours or so. I'm not completely sure. Keep an eye on the news. You'll be able to see when it comes out. So yeah, thank you very much for the time.
Yep.
Hope you've liked watching. And make sure to watch our other stream, which will be starting right about now.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. See you later and enjoy the dev server. Thank you.